In conducting a recreational activity, supervision is a fundamental principle. In commercial rafting, the question becomes whether supervision is a responsibility of the trip leader, and if so, how to implement it. Conceptually, there are three forms of supervision. General supervision means that the leader must be in the activity area and overseeing the activity. The individual raft and trip as a whole are two activity areas discussed shortly. Specific supervision means that the leader has hands-on involvement in the activity. A raft pins and the leader assists in de-pinning the raft. In general, when engaged in specific supervision, the leader is no longer focused on general supervision. Transitional supervision occurs when the leader moves from general to specific supervision or back from specific to general supervision. In rafting, the leader is downstream of the incident. Transitioning can be problematic. In terms of the activity area, supervision responsibilities occur at the in-raft guide and trip leader levels. When there are in-raft guides, few would disagree that each guide on the trip is the leader in charge of their own raft. Their activity area is the raft, and they have general supervision over their passengers. The guide may provide specific supervision regarding where passengers should sit, how to paddle, and rescue of anyone who falls out. Also, all the rafts on the trip form an activity area, and the trip leader has a supervisory role over the group. However, there is not universal agreement on this proposition. Often, when queried, the role of the trip leader gravitates to organization and logistical responsibilities without any oversight responsibilities. More on this shortly. The first example illustrates a situation on the Lehigh River where it is fairly obvious that the trip leader does not have general supervision of the group. It is not uncommon for the rafting companies on the Lehigh to herd 70 guests in 15 to 20 rafts with a trip leader and 2 additional guides. In the incident to which this deposition refers, John Smith blew out his knee in a water battle and needed to be extricated. In his deposition, the trip leader, Thomas Hill, recounts the situation. It is evident from the passage that he does not have general supervision of the trip, nor does he have specific supervision of the first aid rendered. In the first paragraph, he indicates that I did not have an opportunity to talk to Mr. Smith at all. The passage suggests that although he is in charge of the trip, he does not know what is occurring on it until after the trip is over. Thomas Hill indicates that he has 2 competent guides who handle the situation, and other than the sidebar issue that he was left to guide the trip alone for the remainder of the trip, the guides are acting disjointly from each other with no communication between them and Thomas Hill, the trip leader. Spacing and supervision are related, particularly regarding transitional supervision. Think of spacing like an accordion. On easier sections, the group can spread out more. On harder sections, the group contracts and comes together. The tighter formation aids in transitioning and in providing specific supervision if there are swimmers or a flipped raft. In the New River incident, note the close spacing of the rafts cutting back to river left below Whale Rock. The trip leader, Diana, did not have general supervision of Mark's raft. She was unaware that she had dump trucked and there were swimmers. Hence, she was unable to transition to specific supervision and assist in the rescue of the swimmers. Other than Mark's raft, she maintained relatively close spacing between the other rafts on the trip. Spacing was an issue in the Westwater incident. With closer spacing through the gorge, the other rafts may have been able to assist the rescue of Kathy's raft before Skull Rapids. In this scene, Kathy is sweep, or the last raft on the trip, and close inspection suggests no other rafts are visible downstream. Returning to the New River incident, in her deposition, Diana takes the position that the responsibilities of the trip leader are organizational and logistical, but not supervisory. The trip leader meets and greets the guests. You check them in and determine the number of guides and life jackets needed. You explain the itinerary and what to expect on the trip. We tell the guests how to dress and answer any questions. At the put-in, the trip leader gives a safety talk. In summary, she notes that the role of the trip leader is management and logistics. Other than supervising her raft, there is no mention of her role in supervising the entire group. It should be noted that experienced guides who have worked together for a while know what they need to do and generally need less direct supervision by the trip leader. In a second example, Mark Harper, owner of a rafting company, in his deposition after a fatality on the Arkansas River on June 10, 2015, echoes Diana's summary. Clearly, he indicates his belief that the role of the trip leader was one of organization and managing logistics. Later in his deposition, he reaffirms that there are no substantive differences between what a guide's responsibilities are and those of the trip leader. Literally, on this trip, the trip leader was just another guide on the trip. One guide on the trip expressed apprehension to his crew about her performance. She was focused on what she was doing and not on what the trip was doing. In essence, she was in a continual state of specific supervision, and unfortunately, it was her raft that led to the incident. A consideration worth noting is that rafting companies and personnel may have taken the position in their depositions that trip leader responsibilities were organizational and logistical to aid in their defense. In summary, consider the following discussion questions regarding this study. 1. What are the responsibilities of a trip leader? In addition to organization and logistics, should the responsibilities include supervision? Discuss. 2. As a trip leader, what are you doing now or could you do in the future to increase general supervision, to increase specific supervision, to increase transitional supervision? 3. If the trip leader does not have general supervision responsibilities, can the in-raft guides collectively provide the same level of general supervision and increased safety? If so, how? 4. In her deposition, Diana made the following statement. At the end of the day, making sure they have everything and gotten back safely to their cars. This comment is close to the sometimes quoted dictum, the number one rule of a raft guide is to get their passengers down the river safely. Nothing else matters. Discuss the role of how these three supervision principles aid in fulfilling this dictum. 5. What is the role of spacing in providing supervision on your trips? And how do you manage it to increase safety? 6. Thomas Hill was downstream of the incident, making it difficult to transition to specific supervision. On any trip, this can be problematic. Discuss strategies that might be used to reduce transitional time and facilitate transitional supervision.